I have rooted for Will Smith my whole life. And now I watch Emancipation just to see him get whooped.
After an entire year of waiting, Chris Rock finally addressed the infamous Oscar slap, and let me tell you, he did not hold back. I mean, it took him a while to speak on it, but boy, was it worth the wait. And even better was Will Smith's reaction to it. So a few days ago, Rock hosted a Netflix comedy special called Selective Outrage. He talked about a bunch of things, sensitive topics like abortion, racism in America, wokeness, and a lot more were covered that night by the comedian. But that's not the reason we're here today. We, of course, will be speaking about all the shots that Chris fired that night that were directly targeted at, you guessed it, Will Smith. And let me tell you, he went in on Will and Jada. He took some major shots at their open marriage and all the rumors of infidelity. But that's not all. We have Will's exclusive reaction to the whole thing. You guys gotta stick around for this one because it's about to get wild. But before we dive into it, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so you never miss any of our new videos. It seems that all the things Chris said about Will and Jada Pinkett Smith in his latest stand-up special didn't go down too well with Will. And who can blame him? No one likes to be made fun of, especially not in front of the entire world. According to a source who spoke to Entertainment Tonight, Will is feeling pretty embarrassed and hurt by what Chris said about him and his family. He didn't even watch the special himself, but he's been hearing all about it from other people. And of course, it's all over the internet and social media, so he can't really avoid it. The source went on to say that Will has apologized to Chris and wants him to just let it go already. Will feels that he's done his time for any mistakes he might have made in the past, and he wants everyone to just move on. He's been working on himself, and he thinks that should be enough. But here's the thing, Will isn't just upset with Chris. He's also not too happy with Netflix. He thinks it's pretty distasteful that they gave Chris a platform to insult him and Jada again. And to add insult to injury, Will's upset that Netflix is profiting from this whole situation. He feels like they're not really taking responsibility for their part in it. Now, some people might be wondering why Will even cares about what Chris says. After all, they're both successful celebrities who probably don't even see each other that often. But the truth is, they do have a bit of history. Last year, when Will won the Best Actor Oscar, he gave a speech that some people felt was a bit self-centered. He thanked everyone under the sun, except for the director of the movie. And to make matters worse, he did it right after Chris had presented the award for Best Documentary. Chris felt like Will was trying to steal the spotlight, and he wasn't too happy about it. So it seems like there might be some unresolved tension between these two. Will wants Chris to move on, but he's also not ready to just let it go. He feels like he deserves a little more respect than he's getting. What do you think? Should Chris just let it go and move on? Or does Will have a right to be upset about what he said? Let us know in the comments. So, for those of you who don't know what happened in the comedy special, let me run it by you real quick. It's called Selective Outrage, and let's just say it got people talking. Chris used the title to take a little jab at Will Smith, who he used to be a big fan of, but apparently some things have changed. During his stand-up routine, Chris accused
Will Smith practices selective outrage.
Ouch, that gotta hurt. And he didn't stop there. He also brought up the whole Oscars incident from last year, where Will gave a speech that some people felt was a bit too self-centered. Chris made it clear that he had nothing to do with that whole debacle and that he's not about to let it go anytime soon. But here's the thing, Chris didn't just stop at Will. He also took a swipe at Jada Pinkett Smith and their marriage.
She hurt him way more than he hurt me. Everybody that really knows I had nothing to do with that. I didn't have any entanglements.
Ouch. He also made a lot of jokes about how the family loves airing their dirty laundry.
We all been cheated on. Everybody in here have been cheated on. None of us have ever been interviewed by the person that cheated on us on television. None of us. Why the f would you do that? She hurt him way more than he hurt me, okay?
Chris Rock didn't hold back when it came to his thoughts about Will Smith. Apparently, when news broke about the whole entanglement situation with Jada, a lot of people started calling Will a bitch. Chris claimed he tried to reach out to Will about it, but Will didn't answer his calls. Chris then went on to repeatedly call Will a bitch, and even made a joke about how Will only picks fights with people he knows he can beat. All in all, it sounds like Chris was feeling pretty fired up during his comedy special. And hey, that's what comedy's all about, right? making people laugh and saying things that might be a little uncomfortable. But at the same time, we can understand why Will might not be too thrilled about being the butt of Chris's jokes. After all, nobody likes being made fun of, even if it is in the name of comedy. Another reason why Will Smith is so disappointed is because Rock made some super bold claims about Will's wife. Apparently, Jada tried to pressure Chris into quitting as host of the Oscars back in 2016, all because Will wasn't nominated for his movie Concussion. That's a bit harsh, isn't it? But wait, it gets better. He said,
Years ago, his wife said I should quit the Oscars. I shouldn't host because her man didn't get nominated for Concussion. And then so the gives me a concussion.
Nevertheless, Chris didn't give up his hosting gig and even made a joke at Jada's expense during the next ceremony, which didn't sit well with either Will or Jada. Now, Chris is claiming that Jada started the whole thing and that he was just finishing it. He's not the one to start the trouble, but he's certainly not going to back down from a fight either. He said,
"That's how it is. She started, I finish it, okay? That's what the happened. Nobody's picking on this bitch. She started this
Now, he makes a lot of sense. And to be honest, the slap was totally undeserved. Jada made a joke and he made one back. It was just roasting and bickering, and things should never have escalated that badly. The funny part is that the world is finally moving on from the incident. Even the authorities at the Oscars and the producers are done with all the drama. Fast forward to this year, and the 2023 Oscars are quickly approaching. During a recent press conference, executive producer Molly McNearney spoke about how the awards show plans to address last year's infamous incident. She explained that the ceremony will reflect back on the slap in a comedic fashion, but the show won't be all about it. Since Smith resigned from the Academy after the incident, it's impossible to ignore it completely in this year's presentation. However, McNearney stressed that they don't want to make this year's Oscars all about last year's drama. Instead, they want to acknowledge the incident, have a little bit of fun with it, and then move on to focus on the awards themselves. McNearney also shared that this year's ceremony will include some changes to keep the show fresh and engaging for viewers. For example, there will be a news segment where the audience gets to hear from some of the most popular film critics and bloggers, who will be sharing their thoughts on the nominees and winners. Overall, it looks like the 2023 Oscars will be a mix of acknowledging last year's drama while also celebrating the best in film. We can expect some humor and lightheartedness around the infamous slap, but ultimately, the night will be about recognizing the hard work and talent of the film industry. Anyway, despite their different areas of expertise, Will and Chris have crossed paths several times over the years. They were both presenters at the 2005 Academy Awards and even joked around with each other on stage. They also appeared together in the 2001 comedy movie Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, where they played caricatures of themselves. It is definitely possible for Will Smith and Chris Rock to make amends, but it might take some effort from both sides. It's clear that there is some tension between the two after Chris's comments in his comedy special. However, if they are willing to have a conversation and work through their issues, there is a chance they may patch things up. Anyway, that's a wrap for today. What do you think about the whole chaos? Comment down below and let us know.
I love Will Smith. My whole life, I love this nigga. I saw him open up for Run DMC at the Nassau Coliseum. These niggas made brand new funk. I love this nigga. He made some great movies. I have rooted for Will Smith my whole life. I root for this motherfucker, okay? And now, I watch Emancipation just to see him get whooped.